I'm going to react a bit today to some of the things that are happening in certain games yesterday.
Ooh, are we going to have a bit of a shouty, Cass?
No, but I think football needs to get a sort of grip, or certainly managers need to get a grip of sometimes things that happen in games that are avoidable. And that will be starting with Burnley versus Arsenal.
Yes. It seems as though every sort of Sunday when we're looking back on the Saturday action, we tend to talk about some of the controversial decisions, the VAR decisions, and certainly VAR is a talking point from the game at Turf Moor, which ended in a 1-1 draw between Burnley and Arsenal. Before we sort of look at the two goals, if you like, let's get to the VAR incidents. And there was a penalty that Arsenal felt that they should have been given. There was a penalty that was initially awarded to Arsenal, but then was essentially rescinded because VAR got involved. Both of those incidents, were they the correct decisions that were come to in the end? Or
no.
Okay.
No, Peter's handball is a pen.
So you're talking about the first one.
It's an absolute pen. Yeah. I mean, we're in a period where we're debating and rule changes are coming. Come on. You know, it's not even a ball that's played at pace with Peters. And, you know, we're talking about an unnatural position. And is it a handball? Of course it's a handball. You know, without doubt, it's a handball. I don't think I've seen a more blatant handball in a number of months, really, this season. So to me, it was an obvious.
The way you look at it, it's as though he's hailing for a taxi. That's how obvious it is. His arm is outstretched. The reason it wasn't given, so the PGMOL and Premier League said,
here we go, it
was due to the proximity of the ball and hitting the hand. The problem is, how do we judge proximity? Because we have seen handball decisions like that.
It's like gravity. We need to explain it.
But this is the problem, isn't it? Because we have seen penalty decisions this season given for similar handball incidents. But ultimately, how do we know? It is, again, a subjective decision.
Well, it is. But when you're, okay, what's the distance, Natalie? A yard?
Yeah.
Yeah, a yard apart, a slow ball, handed in a very unnatural position, like you said, hailing a taxi. Now, if you want to call a penalty, that is it. Because that, to me, is a perfect example. I would be showing that as a penalty, an example of why it should be given. And it was not given. So I'm totally lost. To explain it is impossible. And like you say, proximity is not a word I would use to define why it wasn't given.
That's the reason then that wasn't given, but as you can understand, Arsenal not happy with that decision. And then there was a penalty that they were given that then was overturned as VAR, and it was Kevin Friend, who was the VAR official, got involved. And for once, I suppose, I say for once, but they have obviously got decisions right. VAR got that one right, do you
Yes,
feel?
Absolutely. You can see it's not a handball. It comes off a different part of the body. No, I didn't have an issue. I thought that one was handled perfectly. It's just, to me, that wasn't the biggest deal. The biggest deal was the first one, and things that happened during the game was a problem to me.
Well, you mentioned that first penalty, as we've talked about already. Let's hear what Mikel Arteta had to say about it.
Well, I think everybody should think that's with the way they have explained the rules, and I don't think it cannot be any clearer handball inside the box than that. It's a very clear penalty, is what I can say. There's no intention to play the ball. There is distance between the opponent and the ball. There is a big distance between the arm and the trajectory of the ball. For me, it's crystal clear.
So Arteta not happy, and we can understand why with regards to that first penalty incident. But ultimately, Cass, it's a case of Arsenal had their chances. They were 1-0 up very early on in this game, but it is 2 points drop for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to give a game of football away, show that video, because that's exactly what they did. You can go through, Natalie, you can go for all week training, getting your players right, eating the right things, drinking the right things, training exercises, drills, set pieces. You can do it all perfectly right. And then you have a goal. You can see the goal that Arsenal did, where it's there's been a sweeper keeper, and also Xhaka fronting up to be given that ball. I know certain managers, and Jack Charlton would have been one of them, he'd have gone ballistic at Xhaka, facing when you've got a player behind you and you're inside the 18-yard box, back to play, and your goalkeeper's rolling you a ball. Some of the best players in the world wouldn't have wanted that ball, and Xhaka certainly isn't that. I'd advise Xhaka not to go on social media this weekend, probably, by the way, as well, because he's probably going to get a bit of stick. But look, you've got a player to your right, player to your left, you've got your back to play, and a goalkeeper's rolling the ball to you. Now, it's a mistake, and like I said, you do all this preparation, and you give a goal away. That's like just saying, I'll kick it in their goal. They're 1-0 up, the mistakes happened, the referee's made a mistake, we'll kick our ball in their own net. That was like that. That was the type of goal. Chris Wood is laughing. And he's shrugging his shoulders to sort of say...
We didn't know much about it, did he?
They've got a three-man attack, a three-man block to say, you do that. They're literally saying, please do what you did, and we might take advantage of it. And to me, Arsenal have given them 2 points away yesterday.
Yeah.
And yes, the penalty decision, which is Mikel Arteta, is absolutely right. But until players, I can't get in my head, some of the best players I ever played with wouldn't have won a ball in that position. Xhaka, and he ain't as good as, half them that I would mention. Why would you want the ball in that position? Now, Leno also has to make the decision of going, I'm not giving you that there. That's way too dangerous. That's way too high risk.
Well, and the problem, absolutely, and the problem you have there is surely at that stage, that's where Leno goes long. You don't try and play out from the back in that situation when you know there are threats around you. But ultimately, it was decision-making that cost Arsenal the points in that game, as well as their missed chances.